What up, everybody? InstructaBeats back again. Today we are talking about finding my dividend and divisor in a word problem. And this is our division playlist video number 2 if you are checking out our division playlist. So today I will be able to read the word problem carefully to know what number is my dividend and what number is my divisor. In the first video of our division playlist, we talked about what the dividend and divisor meant, our dividend being the thing or number that is being shared equally, separated, split up, and our divisor can be one of two things. It can either be how many groups there are or how many are in each group. So if you're confused by that, check out our first video before you watch this one. So our steps for success. When you see a word problem, right, the first thing you should be doing is doing your sides check. Okay, if you don't know what that is, check out our video. But basically, it's our word problem strategy where the S is you're going to write a statement, the I is identify, D develop your plan or draw a picture, E write an equation, S solve, and then always check it. So once you write your statement, once you identify, once you know its division, the next step would be to draw a blank division equation. Basically, right, what that means is you're going to draw your, this is a mini version, it should be a little bit bigger, draw your blank division equation, because the third thing you're going to do is you are going to find your dividend first, okay? And that a lot of times has keywords you can look for, such as something is being shared or cut or split equally. But if there isn't a keyword, you just have to understand what the dividend is and understand what is happening in the word problem. Let me show you what I mean. So I have 4 elephants here, okay, and I'm going to scroll down a little bit, and I want to split them into 2 zoo habitats, right? And so I'm going to take my elephants and I want to split them equally, and so I am splitting these equally right here, right? And so what I just did, okay, I draw my blank division equation here. My first number is my dividend. Okay, what was being split up? Well, my elephants were, right? And my elephants were being split into 2 groups, my zoo habitats, right? So I'm going to label this as my zoo habitats. And then obviously my question would be, okay, how many elephants were in each habitat? So again, this goes back to what we talked about last video. The divisor and quotient work together. So the divisor is how many groups, which it is here. Then the quotient will tell you how many are in each group. So then you would label this as 4 elephants split into 2 zoo habitats, and you had 2 elephants in each habitat. So this is what I mean by drawing your blank division equation and starting to fill it out. You would draw this. This could be the develop your plan and the sides check. You label what's being split up or shared or cut up equally, label it, and then find that number that goes with it. And then look at your divisor. Okay, my divisor is my groups or my zoo habitats. What number goes with that? 2. And then you can solve it. So let me show you another example that involves elephants. So here we have 2 elephants, right? And we want to share them equally between 4 lions. I'm going to draw my blank division equation first, right? So if this were a word problem, we would draw this. What is being split up here? Okay, my elephants are. All right. And what are they being split up into? Well, they're being split up by lions. So my divisor is my groups or my lions. And so my quotient is going to be how many did each lion get, right? And so I have my elephants right here. I want to split them between 4 lions, which means I need to split them into 4 groups. I will get a red pen. And so we want to split these lions equally, right, into 4 equal groups. This line is going to get this part. This line is going to get the head. This line is going to get this part. This line is going to get this part. If we look back up at my division equation, I had 2 elephants now being split by 4 lions, and it looks like each of them is getting 1/2 of a lion, which if I write 2/4 first, right, that can simplify to 1/2. So each line is getting 1/2 of the elephant. If you look right here, you're going to find a key thing that goes with division. Your dividend is smaller than your divisor, and that's okay because your dividend is the one being split up. But the answer is 2/4. This goes back to what we talk about as fractions are a division equation. 2 divided by 4 is the same thing as writing 2/4 because it's 2 divided by, that's what the fraction bar is, 4. And if you look, the division sign kind of looks like a fraction, except that instead of numbers, it has dots. So that's one way to remember that, which leads us to our first key thought of our day. If the dividend is smaller than the divisor, then your answer is going to be a fraction. So if it is 1 divided by 2, well, that's the same thing as saying 1/2. If it is 5 divided by 6, right, that's the same thing as saying 5/6. So 5/6 is the same thing as saying 5 divided by 6. So if you're doing a fraction, or if you're doing a division problem and what's being split up, the dividend is a smaller number than the divisor, then the answer is actually going to just be a fraction. So let's look at this word problem, add some pictures there. There are 8 pizzas being split up evenly between 12 people. What fraction of a pizza did each person get? So our statement is going to say,
each person got, or this might be bad English, blank fraction of a pizza.
So let's look at our word problem and we're looking for anything about pizza, right? Or maybe fractions or people. So there are 8 pizzas being split up evenly. This is important because this tells me that I'm dividing between 12 people. What fraction did each person get? So I know I'm dividing because it's splitting up evenly. I'm going to draw my blank division equation for my develop a plan. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at what is happening. So what is being split up here? Well, my pizzas are, right? So I'm going to label this as pizzas. And that would be 8 is my number that went with that. What are they being split up into? 12 people, right? And if my quotient, if my divisor is people, then my quotient should be each person, or each people, which doesn't make any sense, got, right? And if you look, that's what my statement's asking me for. Each person got blank fraction of pizza. So these are correct. I've labeled them correctly. My number that goes with people is 12. And anytime your dividend is smaller than your divisor, your answer is a fraction. So your answer is actually 8/12. You can simplify that by dividing by 4, which would be 2/3, okay? But the key thing is here figuring out what your dividend is, because a lot of people would think the bigger number is first, and they would write 12 people are being divided by 8 pizzas, which would be very confusing because I've never known pizzas to eat people, right? Don't be a murderer. Don't have people being killed by pizzas. Think about what's happening. Look for your keywords that will help you find your dividend. Why don't you go ahead and try this one by yourself? So just write your statement. Obviously, you can't identify, but you can draw your blank division equation and think about, okay, what is my dividend? What is my divisor? So hopefully you paused it and you just solved this question correctly. And so I'm gonna look at my question first. Is how much milk did each get? So I'm gonna say so I'm looking for anything about milk or friends. So it says Elijah and 3 friends right here. We know that that is really 4 friends because 1 plus 3 would be 4, not an H, 4. We're at daycare on Monday. There were 8 bottles of milk that they shared, right? So sharing is helping me find my dividend. How much should each person get? So I'm dividing here because I'm taking something, I'm sharing it equally. So I want to draw my blank division equation first.
Okay.
And I want to look at, okay, what is my dividend? Well, I circled 4 friends. I circled 8 milk bottles. If you're not careful, you would think the 4 friends is your dividend because that number came first and it might make sense to you. But on closer look, you're not going to split friends and put them into milk bottles. So that doesn't really make sense. What is being shared is the milk bottles, right? So my milk bottles, or MB, have to be the thing being shared, which is 8, and they're being shared by, wow, it's a really bad division sign. There we go. They're being shared by 4 friends, right? And if my divisor is my friends, then my quotient should say each friend. And what number goes with number goes with friends? 4. So 8 milk bottles are being divided by 4 friends. That makes sense. I'm not a murderer. Milk bottles can be shared by friends. If you did 4 divided by 8, you're telling me that friends are being split up and put into milk bottles, which is just weird. So 8 divided by 4 is 2. So I would say that each friend got 2 milk bottles. So really this should say bottles here. Okay. So they had 8 milk bottles. They share with 4 friends. Each friend got 2. That makes a lot of sense. Hopefully in this video you learned how to draw your blank division equation and then look back in your word problem to find out first what is your dividend. And there's really 2 ways to do that, right? You can look for keywords or you can use something that isn't so common, but you can use common sense. Look at what you do after you label it. If you're splitting pizza or people into pizzas or friends into milk bottles, that's not right. Something's wrong there, right? So go back and think about what would be shared here, right? That's going to be your dividend. Then find your divisor and then let that lead you to your quotient. But make sure you label each of these every time. That will help you know whether or not you made a silly mistake. As always, please check us out on InstructaBeats Official. We have a great song about parts of the division equation that would help you with this lesson. So please check that out. You can follow us at Instagram at InstructaBeats. Please check out the rest of our division playlist. We appreciate you guys taking the time to watch our video. InstructaBeats out.